It would not be a video from me without my dogs just around. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my April wrap up, all the books that I read in April. I read some really good books. I had one 5-star read and I'm excited to talk about them. Well, actually I had one 5-star read and one 5-star series. Anyways, let's just get into it. These first few books I read in my Read With Me for a Week video, so if you want to watch my reactions, my thoughts, maybe more in depth, you can watch that video. But the first book that I read was The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, which is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I love Jessa Hastings so much. I love the Magnolia Parks universe so much, so I was so excited about this book. Thank you, Source Books, for the arc. So this is a standalone. This book follows Georgia and she is so cool. Like, the aspect of her character, she's just such a cool character. One of the coolest I've ever read. So basically she has like a triple graduate degree from Cambridge in England, which is just crazy, and she's very like observant. She's able to read people. Her degrees, or one of them, is in psychology, so she is very good at reading people and their emotions. Such an interesting character. I loved her. So basically she lives in England, in London I think. She has to go back home to South Carolina, North Carolina, because of a family situation, and she has not been back in years. There's a romance, but I wouldn't really call it like a romance book, even though it's probably put in the romance section. It's definitely more about like family dynamics, character study, and a little bit, I don't really know how to explain it, but the main character is so sweet, so nice, so unproblematic. If you don't like Magnolia Parks for the problematic characters, which I don't think they're problematic, like they're just flawed characters and you definitely see the growth throughout the series. But if you're wanting a character that is just like a genuinely great guy who from the beginning of the book you like are rooting for him and you really like him, definitely really liked the main male character in this book. He does have a lot of things that have happened to him in the past, but his growth and everything like that was just so good. And the romance was so good in this book. I love the characters, and I feel like Jessa Hastings is so good at writing flawed characters, but like you love them and you root for them. And I feel like you can also see yourself in a lot of her characters because they are flawed and they make mistakes. Things don't always turn out exactly how you want them to. Your life isn't always like sunshine and rainbows, and she's very good at portraying that. I love Jessa Hastings' writing. Like, I've talked about this before with the Magnolia Parks universe. Her writing just scratches an itch in my brain. I do not know how to explain it. I just love her writing, her metaphors. And in this book, it was so good. I mean, obviously it translates to this book as well. Also, I should have said this at the beginning of my review, but there's a big trigger warning in this book, so I would like look for that, or you can DM me or comment and I will tell you. I do think the discussion around this trigger warning was very like well done, very necessary, but I could see how like some people might not want to read that, so would check trigger warnings. Also, there's a lot of discussion around faith and being a Christian and Christians acting not like Jesus. It made me so sad because there's definitely these dynamics in real life where people say they're Christians, say they go to church, they say they love God, and they are so like manipulative or just like do terrible things to other people. And obviously we all make mistakes, we're human, but like they say they're Christians but they aren't acting like Jesus. Also, back to the characters, I loved how Georgia, she like wasn't afraid of like pain. She faced it head on. And I feel like usually in characters, they kind of avoid it. Like if they're gonna get hurt, they're avoiding it. But she's like, if she's in pain, she's like facing it head on and she's gonna push through it. Also, I feel like Sam was like a calm and safe place for her to land, and I just love that. Like I said, there's a lot of family dynamics in this book and they were very interesting. Like they were very heart-wrenching and sad at times, but also like beautiful in other ways. And I feel like Jessa is very good at making you feel like conflicting emotions about like a person or a topic or a situation, and how things aren't black and white. People are a lot of different things, a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. So I wanted to pop in here at the end of this review and say that there's aspects of this book and like things that the main character says about Christianity, maybe just some things in general about Christianity that I don't agree with. And I feel like it goes without saying that the majority of the books that I read, I don't agree with everything in them. And when I was talking about the exploration of faith in this book, I was more talking about the way that people can say they're a Christian and then not act like Jesus. And I hope that's not the person that I am and the person that I portray. I do think even just the way that Georgia, the main character, grew up, it's a beautiful thing that she has any faith at all, because she could be completely jaded from Christianity in general. This is not like, I didn't go into this book expecting like a nonfiction book. Obviously it's not nonfiction or like a Christian fiction book. That's not what this is. When I read a book and it talks about faith, even if I don't agree with it, I know what I believe about Christianity. So also there's aspects of Christianity that people in general might disagree over, like minor doctrine stuff. At this point, this conversation is getting so annoying, but Basically, there's minor doctrine stuff that a lot of people have differing opinions on, but obviously I feel like the main thing is Jesus, that he came to earth to save us. So I don't want you to go into this book thinking that it explores faith in a completely honest and accurate representation, because it might not, along with some other books that maybe have Christianity in them, and I might not agree with everything, but I do think the way that it explains and describes people and how they say they're a Christian, they say they love God, especially in the South, but do not act like Jesus, is a very accurate representation of, it doesn't have to be the South, but I feel like it's pretty accurate representation of people in general, and I hope that that's not the person that I portray. So that's kind of the point of my thing here. I've seen a couple reviews talking about this, and I wanted to kind of give a little disclaimer that I hope you don't go into this book thinking you are going to learn something new about God, because it's not the Bible, and the Bible is the ultimate truth, but I feel like you can learn and hopefully become a better person by some things that you read, even if it's not from the Bible. I feel like even in romance books and things like that, or even fantasy books, I don't know, there's a lot of different things you can read that you're like, okay, I hope I treat people the way that Jesus treated people. So anyways, I'm gonna shut up now. That was a 3-minute ramble, but I hope that makes sense. Next, I read Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer, which is the fourth book in the Vancouver Storm series. And it is hate to love, marriage of convenience. He's a hockey player. She is a therapist. She helps players when they're recovering from injuries. And I really, really love this book. I gave it 4.25 stars. I could not put it down. I don't know what Stephanie Archer puts in her books, but I cannot put them down. I don't know what's going on. I literally feel like every book in the series, besides the first one that I read by her, I stayed up so late because I could not put the book down. How does she do it? I don't know. I love this book. I love the slow burn. It was very slow burn, which I enjoyed. But different than Mariana Zapata, I talked about this in my vlog, but it's not the situation where they don't hold hands till the very end of the book. I don't like that, but it is still a slow burn. And I loved the hate to love. Usually I feel like enemies to lovers doesn't feel realistic, but I thought it was really well done in this book. I love seeing the previous characters, the found family with the hockey players. I just love this series. It's one of my favorite hockey romance series. And if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend. It is very spicy, but I still really, really enjoyed it. I feel like they slowly let each other in and let each other see the deepest parts of themselves, which I loved so much. It was so good. So thank you, Dell, for the arc of that. Also, I didn't say, but The Conditions of Will has one spicy scene, and it's very much metaphorical spice. It's kind of how Jessica Hastings writes, but I wouldn't say it's closed door or no spice. There's one scene that I remember that is, maybe two, I think one, that is kind of spicy, but I wouldn't say it's very descriptive. Next, I am just going to talk about both of these at once because it's the same series. So this is the Emily Wilde series, book 2 and 3. So we have Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands and Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. The first book I read in February. It's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And I just love this series so much. If you don't know what this is about, it's basically a cozy fantasy about Emily Wilde. The first book follows her as she goes to this remote location, kind of Iceland inspired, and she's basically just finishing her Encyclopedia of Fairies. So she's just walking around, seeing the fairies, writing in her journal about it, and it's written in journal entries, so you're really just reading her as she goes about her day. And there's a very minor subplot of romance, which is so good, and it's just so cozy. I love this series so much. It's so fun. I can definitely see how you wouldn't like it. I can see that, and I will forgive you for it. I'm just kidding. But I could definitely see how you wouldn't like it, but I just ate it up. It was so, so good. I just had so much fun reading it. It felt so cozy and wholesome and sweet. And I just loved it. It's not gonna make you sad or feel these very heavy emotions. It's just a sweet, calm, cozy book. And I love it. So I don't know really what I'm rating each book. I gave Map of the Other Lands 4.25. Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales could be a 5-star. I don't really know. The series as a whole is definitely a 5-star series. I love it so much. I could definitely see myself rereading it. I really want the UK covers. I love also the US covers. I think the hardbacks are just beautiful. I feel like I just want to follow these characters on every adventure they go on, and I'm so, so sad that it's over. I just love them so much. Also, I read Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands in my reading vlog, and then obviously I read this later in the month, but I just have so much fun with these. I'm so sad she's not writing these characters anymore, which I do think the end wrapped up very well, and the romance was so good in this book, or the series, but I wouldn't read it for the romance, but you just get a little snippet of romance, and there's definitely more as you read. There's a tiny bit in the first one, a little bit more in the second one, and a little bit more in the third one. And the third one, by the way, it's definitely my favorite in the series. I love the plot. I loved the romance. I love the found family that's built in the series. Since it's a cozy fantasy, there's not a ton going on, but I do still think there's a plot in this series, and I really enjoy the plot. I feel by the end of the book, there's something kind of crazy going on, but not crazy, but And it's a cozy fantasy, so it's not super crazy, but like kind of crazy. You know what I mean? No, probably not. Anyways, I love the series and highly, highly recommend. There's no spice in this series, so if you want an adult cozy fantasy series with no spice, and you're just gonna have a wholesome, sweet time, and you're gonna love these characters, well, I do. And I want to follow them on like every adventure they go on. I'm so sad that she's not writing anymore. I'm really excited to see what Emily Fawcett writes next because I love her writing style. I loved her like so many quotes in this series. Like I just really liked her writing. I could definitely see how people could say it's wordy, but I still really enjoyed it. While we're talking about Emily Wilde, I need to show you this bookmark I bought from Kingdom of Threads. It is so cute. Do you see them? That's Emily and Wendell, Emily's dog, and this quote on the back, it says, "Perhaps it is always restful to be around someone who does not expect anything from you beyond what is in your nature." I'm just obsessed. So cute. So I bought this because I just love the series so much. I think it's definitely gonna be like one of my favorites of the year. Definitely of the first half of the year. I just love it so much. So I'm so sorry. I just got so, like I had to put this on pause because People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young just went on NetGalley and I had to request it. It was very important. Very dire situation. Okay, I literally got so distracted on Instagram now. Okay, bye. I've got to get back on track. Okay, we're back to it. Next, I read It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan, which is her next release that comes out in May. Thank you, Putnam, for the arc. Thank you so much. I gave it 4.25 stars. It's one of my favorites by Annabelle Monaghan after Same Time Next Summer. I love this book. It was so good. It's like short, less than 300 pages, I'm pretty sure. And it's basically following this girl who, I don't know what her job title is, but basically she finds scripts and then like submits them to her boss to like turn into a movie. So it kind of works from like a movie production company, but like she doesn't write the scripts, but she like finds the scripts, reads them, and it's like, okay, this could turn into a movie, and then gives them to her boss. Anyway, so she finds the script. She really wants it to become a movie, but her boss is like, we need something to like really amp up this script. And so she was like, okay, well, I know this guy who like I did like a teen show with, or like a kids show with him, and he's a singer now. I'm gonna get him to write a song for this movie. And she doesn't really know him. She hasn't seen him in years, but she says this. And her coworker kind of, or like the photographer or videographer, he wants to be on the movie too. It's like, okay, I will help you. We can go to Long Island and like go to his concert and like talk to him and stuff. So that is kind of a hard explanation of a plot, but like I feel like that makes more sense than the back of the book. I love this book. It was so sweet, so wholesome. I love Annabelle Monaghan's writing. I feel like she writes like simple and short sentences, but they really pack a punch. I feel like I highlight so many quotes in her books. Her metaphors are so beautiful. You can feel the emotions the characters are feeling. It's not too emotional at all, but I feel like you can just really connect to the characters. It's definitely giving Emily Henry in the sense of like women's fiction with like a subplot of romance. I feel like there's a good bit of romance in this book, and I really love the plot of like them trying to make this movie work. I really found that interesting. Also, the summer vibes of this are so good. I cannot wait for it to come out and like everyone to read about the pool or the beach. It's such good summer vibes. Literally wish I was at the beach reading this book. It's just so heartwarming. The romance was so sweet. I like literally was giddy at some of their moments together. Also, I feel like the family dynamics with the main character's family, I really enjoyed that as well. So yeah, really enjoyed this book, really recommend it. Also, if you don't know, I put all my reviews on Goodreads for every book I read. So if I don't post the review, it's probably because I'm waiting till release day. Next, I read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I cannot believe we have another Hunger Games book, and it's Hamish's Games. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we have this. I gave this 5 stars. Honestly, anybody that gave this less than 5 stars, I do not understand you. I really don't. But I love the Hunger Games. I read the original trilogy when it came out. I watched the movies, like went to the theaters, read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Literally when it came out, went to Walmart and bought it. And I didn't really do that back then, like 5 years ago when it came out, but I love the Hunger Games, so I had to read it. Obviously, when I saw the announcement that she was coming out with another book about Hamish's Games, I literally been counting down the days, and I cannot believe it's here. I've already read it. Oh my gosh, this book was so good. Since it's been so long since I read the original trilogy, I feel like a lot of stuff I didn't remember. A lot of what I remembered was from the movies because I rewatch the movies literally all the time. But obviously I kind of, not recently, but semi-recently, more recently than the original trilogy, I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And the amount of connections in this book to the original trilogy and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is crazy. Literally crazy. I would definitely recommend reading the original trilogy and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes before reading this. You will get the most emotional impact of this book if you read those first. Also, I know in Catching Fire we get a little bit about Hamish's Games, but I didn't remember because I hadn't read Catching Fire in so long. So I really enjoyed like literally going in and not really knowing anything about his games, which obviously we learn so much more about him in his games, but I feel like you do get a little snippet of what his games kind of happen, what happens in them. in the original trilogy, but I didn't remember. So seeing that, all the connections and like learning about him, oh my gosh, I love him so much. I loved him obviously in the books and the movies, but in this I love him so much more. I cannot wait for the movie, even though I'm so scared because it's gonna be brutal. Also, I feel like you learn so much more about the Capitol and like all the stuff. I'm not gonna say too much about this book because spoilers, people are really worried about spoilers, which I totally get. Like, I didn't want spoilers, and I read this like I finished it the day after it came out, and I feel like I still almost saw spoilers. So I'm not gonna say anything else about this book, but 5 stars, so good. Suzanne Collins, I do not understand how her brain can do this. I love the Hunger Games so much. I feel like it's like my childhood, and this series is just everything to me. So I really hope she continues to write in this world, like Phoenix Games, extended epilogue. I'd be okay with that after Mockingjay. Anyways, this was so good. I cannot wait for the movie, but I'm scared. But this book, 5 stars, incredible. So good. Next, I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, which is crazy. How did I read that? I do not know. Berkeley, thank you so much for the arc. I love you so much. Like you, I owe you everything. That's me being dramatic. But this is Emily Henry's new release. It comes out April 22nd, so like in 3 weeks. And this, I would say, I'm not going to give too much about this because I did film a reading vlog reading this book. So I think we're going to keep this little short, leave my review for later on. But this is definitely different than all of her other books. I would say it leans way more fiction and kind of mystery a little bit with a subplot of romance. So it's definitely giving Evelyn Hugo vibes by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And yeah, I did really enjoy this book. Funny Story is still my favorite by her. And I just love Emily Henry's books. I love her writing, so I knew I was going to enjoy it. So I'm literally going to be so annoying and say that's all I'm going to say about this book because I do have a reading vlog coming and I want to save all of my thoughts for the reading vlog. I feel like that's the most fun. Also, it's not out yet, so we're just gonna leave it for that. Next, I read Beautiful Exile by Catherine Cowles. This is the 4th book in the Sparrowfall series, and I didn't love it. Gave it 3 stars. This is about the male main character owns a hockey team, and he's like a billionaire, and then the female main character is an artist. She's kind of like to herself, very shy, doesn't really talk to a lot of people, doesn't really let many people in. And I really like the main characters, but this just fell flat for me. This series by Catherine Cowles I'm not enjoying as much as the Lost and Found series. I feel like her writing is leaning more cringy, especially in the spicy scenes. Like, she's writing more spice, and I'm just kind of not enjoying it. I did enjoy the suspense plot, even though I kind of guessed it. Like, it wasn't super crazy, really. I mean, kind of, but also like, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But I found that interesting, and like, I like the characters, and I will definitely be continuing the series. But maybe like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not enjoying her new stuff as much as her Lost and Found series. I love that series so much, especially Ashes of You. I love that book. So I'm really sad I didn't enjoy this, but I was kind of just pushing through, didn't really want. Like, I just want to know what happened at the end. That's why I finished it, but I didn't love it, which makes me sad. But I still enjoy her books, and like, I will keep reading them. So next, I read the first 2 books in the Wells Ranch series, which is by Bailey Hanna, and they're being traditionally published. So the first book, Alive and Wells, just released this week, and the second book, Seeing Red, comes out in April. And these are cowboy like ranch romances, very spicy, so just beware of that. So the first book, I would honestly check trigger warnings for all of these, but I don't think the trigger warnings are like super heavy. It's really great that she has the trigger warnings. They aren't as graphic as some other books that I've read, and I just had a really good time reading the first one specifically. Like, I gave it 4 stars. I liked the characters, liked the family that they were building. I also really liked that there was not really a hint of who the second book was going to be about, and I didn't know who the second book was going to be about until I read it, which I really enjoyed. I feel like the romance was a slow burn, and I really enjoyed it. And then Seeing Red, I gave 4.5 stars. It's my favorite in the series so far, and it is accidental pregnancy, which I love. I love an accidental pregnancy. I will just eat it up every time. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I really love it. I think it's because the male main character like is just so sweet and attentive to the female main character, like, because she's pregnant, and like, he's just like stepping up to the plate. You know what I mean? And I love that. I also read this so fast I could not put it down. I really enjoyed how at the beginning they kind of don't really like each other. It's kind of like a obviously one-night stand situation, and then they become friends, and then they become more than friends. I just loved it. It was so sweet, so endearing. There were multiple moments I was like smiling, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet, at their interactions together, and like how the main character is just so sweet in taking care of her and like doing things for her and making sure she's okay. Also love the found family in this book. Also the friendships that Cass has in this book, I really enjoyed. You see a lot of the ranchers in this book. The main character in this book is like, he works at the ranch, And the main character from the first book owns the ranch. I didn't say that, but anyways, very excited for the next book in the series. We'll be reading it pretty soon. It comes out in May, but I did get the arc, so I'm very excited for that. Lastly, I read The Ornithologist Field Guide to Love by India Holton. This is like a historical fantasy, romance, rom-com situation. There's a lot of genres going on in this book. But basically it's about these two ornithologists looking for this rare bird, and whoever finds this bird gets tenure and then also becomes birder of the year. And they're both professors, obviously because they want tenure. They're both professors. It's kind of like a rivalry romance situation. Very like silly, goofy time. Like if you're wanting just a silly, goofy time where it's kind of ridiculous and so funny, you should read this book. There's also this aspect of the book where they're like looking for this bird, obviously, and there's like these reporters reporting on the situation going on. So all these people, as they're traveling through like England and stuff, are coming up to them asking them if like they're the ornithologist that's in the papers and stuff. But none of them know how to say ornithologist, and so they all say like different words, like ornithologist, or like, I don't know how to explain it, but basically they just don't know how to say ornithologist, so they spell it all wrong. They say it all wrong, and it's just so funny. I don't know why I found that so funny. I feel like the romance was so sweet. There was like definitely an adventure aspect to the plot, which was really fun. It takes place in late 1800s in England, which I just love. I also feel like her writing, India Holton's writing, is so good. I highlighted so many really good quotes in this book, and I'm very excited to continue the series. I had the second book. It's on my April TBR. Definitely gonna get to it. I feel like if you enjoyed Emily Wilde, you would definitely enjoy this. The female main characters are very similar in these books, and I just had so much fun. I can definitely see how someone wouldn't like this because it's so absurd. It's like so unserious. You know, a book that's like so unserious, it like doesn't take itself too seriously at all, and it's just funny and ridiculous and silly and goofy. That's what this book is, and I had a great time. Like I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4 stars, and I just had a really good time reading it. It does have like one spicy scene, but since it's like in the late 1800s, they're so like proper in their descriptions of the spice. It's not too descriptive. It's just kind of funny. Do you know what I mean? The guy from the second book shows up in this book, which is really fun. So I hope these characters show up in the second book, and I'm very excited to read it. So anyways, had a blast reading this. I feel like I'm kind of going out of my comfort zone a little bit. After reading Emily Wilde, I'm looking for other stuff that kind of gives me the same vein of like cozy, but this is definitely has more romance. Like this is a romance, while Emily Wilde is definitely cozy fantasy with a very minor subplot of romance. But if you enjoyed that, you should read this. Or if you enjoyed this, you should read that, because I feel like you could enjoy both of them. Also, like the characters in this that you meet, like the professors and like some of the things, are just so entertaining. Like this book is just so entertaining. Also, this book and Emily Wilde definitely got recommended from Katie's reading. I love her recs, so I'm very excited to read the second book. But anyways, that is all the books that I read in March. Very excited for April and all the books I'm gonna read. Let me know what you read in March. If you have any recs kind of reminiscent of Emily Wilde or The Ornithologist Field Guide to Love, please let me know. If you like these books, let me know, because I feel like I don't know many people that have read them or enjoyed them, because I feel like Emily Wilde is either you love or hate it. So let me know in the comments or DM me on Instagram. But I think that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.